Well, thank you, Tim. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to acknowledge Eric Barrett and the board of Seafood New Zealand and the other distinguished guests throughout the room, and of course conference delegates from across the industry. Welcome from ANZ to the 2013 Seafood Industry Conference. As principal sponsor of this conference now for, as Tim said, the 13th consecutive year, we're very proud of the part we play in supporting this event, to bring together an industry that is such an important contributor to the New Zealand economy, and we heard about that obviously just before from Minister Guy. This year's conference theme, Healthy Fish, Healthy Future, provides a timely opportunity to consider the potential and some of the challenges associated with the reputation this industry has built for providing safe and healthy food from one of the world's most sustainably managed fisheries. This reputation is a key element of the New Zealand brand, which resonates with both our traditional and our new export markets. Seafood's grown into a $1.5 billion export industry for New Zealand, and demand for our seafood in the growth markets of Asia is particularly strong, with China alone as a subset of that region now well and truly surpassing Australia as our largest market for seafood exports. As incomes continue to rise amongst Asian consumers, so too does their desire for our premium seafood products. This is promising given the important role that's, of seafood in achieving this country's goal of increasing economic prosperity through growing our exports. And we heard about the government's ambitious targets for that export growth. New Zealand exporters have great access to many of the key markets where that opportunity can be realised, but the rewards for us are by no means guaranteed. As our exporters approach the opportunities, it's increasingly important to focus on what to sell to whom within the right markets to get the best return. Identifying the consumer subsets that will pay a premium for quality, differentiating source, safety, and other attributes. Our seafood industry has worked hard to build a global reputation for exporting safe, healthy and sustainable seafood, and has positioned us well to grasp that opportunity. New Zealand's credentials more generally as a producer of safe and healthy products are already lifting our earnings from our food exports. For instance, in another part of the primary sector, Fonterra is able to sell its skim milk powder for around $200 to $500 more per tonne than other suppliers of global dairy trade because of those credentials. That's a premium of up to 10% for the New Zealandness that's embodied in that product. But those positive perceptions of New Zealand products and the earnings they underpin are not something that we can take for granted. Experiences here and globally show how quickly perceptions can change. So we've got to continue to invest in and protect our international reputation for the future. Doing so will further showcase our environmental and food safety credentials. It will also deliver a competitive advantage that helps strengthen the New Zealand brand so our products continue to command premium prices and help us to grow that premium over time. Fully grasping those opportunities requires a sector-wide approach, with a continued focus on collaboration and sustainability, and further building on the New Zealand story as a provider of premium food. This conference has established itself as a key forum for bringing together the leading people and businesses from across the industry to consider opportunities and the issues and challenges the industry faces. This year's program once again features a variety of high-calibre speakers that will provide that platform for discussion on the industry's direction and future. ANZ is very proud to support the industry with our own long-term commitment. Our 13 years of continuous involvement to this conference are an example of that, as are the long-held relationships with many of the industry participants in the room here today. I encourage you to follow on from the reputation earned by delegates at conferences in previous years of making the most of this opportunity and the occasion that it presents to exchange ideas and experiences, and to build on the networks that is such a strength for New Zealand companies when they work together to win business in international markets. Enjoy the next 2 days.
Thank you very much, David, and thank you to ANZ for your support. That's your cue. Healthy fish, healthy future. It's a good story, and we intend to make a lot more of it. We have an action-packed program today, followed by a seafood feast and fellowship tonight. Thank you for your attendance today. It's a terrific turnout, and thank you again to ANZ, our principal sponsor, and to Telecom, to Transpower and Southern Cross Cable Network, who again provided our conference bags, and to all of our other sponsors as listed in the conference program. Our sponsor support helps make this event possible, and just as they have supported us, we ask that you support them where you can. We will be keeping to time today, so we'd appreciate your cooperation around that. Some brief housekeeping. In case of fire alarm, proceed to the nearest exit. They are clearly marked. Use the stairs, not the lift. There is no smoking, and don't forget to wear your life jacket. You'll find it under your seat. To the conference, the agenda is linked to a 5-year strategy that the industry is in the final throes of signing off before engaging with government, as you've heard, and making it public. In a number of respects, we are at a crossroads. Our fisheries are well developed. We are not likely to see marked changes in wild catches. Therefore, aquaculture, product innovation, harvesting efficiencies and improved returns are the avenues for us to prosper. The unpalatable fact is that apart from some lucrative pockets, fishing is generally a low return business. The challenge we face is to lift returns and build a premium into our products so that a box of seafood labelled Naturally New Zealand or something similar automatically commands higher returns, because implicit in that branding is superior taste and quality. That means being market-driven rather than catch-driven. People shake their heads at the amount of logs piled up on our wharves, shipped in bulk rather than being further processed into sawn timber or wood-based products. The same could be said about our exporting of frozen fish for further processing overseas. Our terms of trade are at a near 40-year high. The Kiwi economy is now more competitive than Australia's. That's according to the World Economic Forum. Our economic growth is a relatively healthy 2.5%, but it is dairy exports to Asia and the Canterbury rebuild that are driving that. The medium-term outlook for the New Zealand seafood sector is, quote, reasonably subdued, unquote, according to the Ministry for Primary Industries 2013 Situation and Outlook. Its forecast is for exports to increase from 1.5 billion in the seafood sector in 2013 to only 1.78 billion in 2017. And that is why it is so galling for companies like New Zealand King Salmon, keen and able to boost production, revenue and jobs, to have to jump through so many expensive and protracted legal hoops. And King Salmon's Grant Rosewarne will tell us about that 10 million battle shortly. We also have to face up to the fact that too often we are on the wrong side of public debates, despite our substantial contribution to the country's economy and its well-being. It's tempting to blame the media. They certainly do us no favours at times, and at least one prominent television presenter could do with being reacquainted with broadcasting standards. But we are consistently on the negative end of public opinion, from power access in the deep south to snapper quotas in the Hauraki Gulf in the far north, from Maui's dolphins on the North Island west coast to sea lions in the Southern Ocean, from foreign charter vessels to shark finning. We do need to get on the front foot and be more proactive and more pragmatic around setting the agenda, rather than resisting the tide, as often seems to be the case. One means of doing that will be unveiled later today, as we've heard, and that is precision seafood harvesting. This innovative catching method developed by Sanford, Sealord, Aotearoa Fisheries Limited, with government support, has the potential to transform traditional trawling, and in the process will address public concerns, as overstated as they are, about bycatch and undersized mortality. There's also a lot of groundbreaking work going on in the science sector, and we will see and hear evidence of that today around projects casting new light on our deepwater fisheries and also opportunities from seafood byproducts, from guts to glory. We are also looking to tackle negative perceptions of our industry through the school curriculum, and you'll hear more about that from the enthusiastic ex-teachers who make up the Ministry of Done, as in getting things done. Today, as you heard, Minister Guy launched Healthy Fish on our behalf, aimed at positively engaging with New Zealand shoppers on the virtues and characteristics of our wonderful fish species. As you heard, that includes recipe cards in supermarkets, a QR code accessible through smartphones and online, an updated New Zealand fish poster, the premium artwork of every self-respecting fish and chip shop in the land. And we've also produced videos of people at the wet end telling their stories, and they're showing outside there in the conference hall. Our deepwater fleet has long had human observers on board, paid for by the industry to report on our catch efforts in remote waters, and electronic monitoring will be extended to the inshore fleet. We are concerned about added costs, but there is general acceptance we need to be transparent in what we are doing, and that way the public can be reassured and our rights to fish can be protected. What we would ask for in return is some credit where it's due. We have seen how effective this can be with the Southern Seabird Solutions Trust. Mitigation measures have dramatically reduced seabird mortality, and we now have new targets to work to. We are constantly working to minimise our environmental footprint. We need to deliver fish of the highest quality while minimising the impacts of harvesting on the environment. But sustainable fishing is not the same as no-impact fishing. There have to be some trade-offs, just as there are with farming and just about every other human activity. And that is where we part company with some of our detractors. Enormous areas of our seas are off limits and will remain so, with full fishing industry support. We all want the same outcome, that is healthy and sustainable fisheries. We will work to find common ground around that, but we will also vigorously contest where we feel we are being unfairly maligned and where issues are being distorted. If we don't do that, the risk is that misconceptions that hoki or orange roughy are unsustainably fished and stocks are at risk, for instance, become accepted wisdom and impact on our ability to access international markets. We are also keen to work with recreational and customary sectors. It's in no one's interest to have conflicts around access to what is a shared fishery. But that does require a shift in thinking by both recreational fishers and the government's fisheries managers. If total allowable catches are to have any meaning, then we have to know exactly what those catches are. It would not be hard to introduce total catch monitoring and make management decisions accordingly. The recreational sector could then have a large say in bag limits and size and managing its interests, with the commercial sector free to pursue its catch. The alternative is catch decisions determined by politics rather than science, and potentially disastrous impacts on stocks, primarily snapper, but we could also see a similar situation with other species such as paua and rock lobster. We know we're innovative. Going so close in the America's Cup and also helpfully building the winning yacht proves that. And you will also see some new developments today. That is video of orange roughy captured by Sealord's acoustic optical system introduced this year to give a better understanding of this mysterious high-value deep-water species that is showing encouraging resilience. We have so much going for us. Principal among that is our people. But fishing is not always seen as a desirable career, and there are parallels there with dairying. We need to bring young, keen people through, as well as changing perceptions of our industry, and you will hear how we are addressing that. The significant increase in the hoki quota for the new fishing year is further good news. We have 3 species now that have international MSC certification, and when we assemble again in a year or so, we expect to have several more, including orange roughy. We hope to have made progress on live shellfish exports to Australia, have the seafood strategy bedded down, have improved public standing, and have boosted our export returns with continuing growth in store. It should be a breeze, just like winning the America's Cup. It is my pleasure now to welcome and introduce Eric Barrett, Chair of Seafood New Zealand, Managing Director of Sanford, stalwart of our industry, and Eric will chair our first session. Thank you.